good morning and welcome back to Lap of the World. I'm Richard, and as you can tell, we are actually driving somewhere today. In the Gallardo, in fact. After the last video, I was able to get the car buttoned back up, and I kind of I took a couple of short trips around town just to see, make sure everything was all right. Had to kind of burp the coolant system once, I guess, to get the any air bubbles out, but I think for the most part it was self-bleeding because I only took anything apart on top of the kind of higher up in the system. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. There will be hopefully no discussion of mechanical intricacies for the rest of this video. No, because we are driving up the 2 hours, we're probably about an hour in, to driving to Bristol Motor Speedway for the last East Tennessee region autocross of the season. Just in time. Finished the car just in time, but yeah, I figured this would be a good shakedown because it's a 2 hour highway run from Knoxville up to Bristol, and then an autocross, which is kind of, it's a little more it's enthusiastic, but it's less stress, significantly less stress on the mechanicals than would be a track day. So I figure if it can put up with this, then we're on the right track to having it sort of fully prepped as a backup car in case I need to hit a track day with it if the NSX needs a little maintenance. So that being said, I'm not going to bore you with the gritty details. We've already done an autocross video. I'll put a link to that up in the corner here. Remembering my YouTube layout there. But yeah, so I'm going to finish driving up here. We're going to take care of all the gory details with the registration and check-in, and then we'll walk the course, and I will pick you guys up for the actual fun. Autocrossing in the shadow of this vehicular coliseum is always entertaining. One of the last short tracks on the NASCAR calendar, Bristol plays host to one of the most popular races on the schedule. To facilitate hosting the up to 160,000 fans it can see on a race night, the Speedway also has a capacious parking lot, which means the Team ETR course designers can get creative, and that usually means a good time. Alright, well, you rejoin me in line to start my first run. So far, so good. We made it up here. All systems were at least as nominal as they were when I left Knoxville. So yeah, it's time to go and get my butt kicked in my supercar by a bunch of Miatas trying to drive around cones quickly. That pretty much sums up autocross for the mid-engine exotic crowd. Although I did hear that, oddly enough, as much as people have poo-pooed it in some media, the Mark II or the Generation 2 NSX just won at Nationals. So, for all of you NSX 2.0 haters, stick that in your pipe and smoke it. So for this first run, I am leaving the traction control on. My goal is in the first 2 runs to find that limit so that I know where the car is going to start to let loose. And then I'll switch it off and see how much I can play with it.
They kind of look like they're probably Hoosiers, but I'm not sure. Scott Toito in 48.499, 48.499. Big improvement there for Scott. Not quite enough to get him in the kart
Alright, so headed back to grid, one more run down, nothing exploded. Definitely hit the traction control several times. Probably going to go ahead and switch that off for run 2. I will have to be a little ginger though, because the tires I'm running are what I would call non-competitive. The surface was dusty, the sun was in my eyes, and insert any other racing excuse you care to here. The reality is, though, that it's apparent from rewatching video from outside the car that it was stumbling some at low RPM. Although not throwing any codes or heavily misfiring, this torque-killing stumble meant that I resorted to running about 90% of the course in first gear to keep the car in a usable power band. While not ideal, this let me set an at least respectable time on my last run of the day. So as you can see, I was not joking about my prospects versus the Miata and other more dedicated drivers in more purpose-built machines. Now before you go nuts in the comments, I am not exactly a scrub at this discipline, and there is more time in the car and in the driver. I plan on trying to find it next season, perhaps after some winter fiddling, but for today I will take not breaking anything as my trophy over any podium finish. Alright, well if you can't tell by my wonderful helmet hair, we have just completed our 5th out of 5 runs for the day, and I think we can call it a success. All systems are at least as nominal as they were when I arrived. We kind of figured the car out a little bit, you know, nothing crazy happened. I think the takeaway that I have from learning to drive the car is that I've finally found something with worse gear ratios for autocross than an early NSX. My fastest run by a couple of seconds was done all in first gear, which in most cars would be completely ill-advised for autocross, but I don't think I was even within 1,000 RPM of redline, and that was not entirely, I would say, I wasn't being aggressive, but I was definitely being assertive with my driving and keeping it tidy, but not trying to really wind things out just to wind them out. I had a couple of places where I would upshift to second, downshift back to first, but yeah, largely did the whole thing in first gear. That was way, you know, far and away the fastest way of doing it. So, yeah, we'll see on a track. I think on a track it would make a lot more sense. I kind of get what people are saying now about the whole, yeah, the 2004, 2005 cars, you're blah, 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 you know, but honestly, I don't have a basis of comparison for it with a different guy. Well, I do have a basis of comparison with a different Gallardo. I drove a 2008 E-Gear car in a Supercar Experience Autocross. I'll put the link to the video up here. And you can definitely tell the difference in the gearing, excuse me as I stumble over that a lot, the difference in the gearing is definitely notable. Is it a deal breaker when you look at what it would cost to get a 2004 gated car versus what it would cost to get a 2008 or better gated Gallardo? But no, it's not, because this car is it's enough of a production to just drive it around in the first place that the little bit of consternation that you might have occasionally with the super tall first and second gears is it's kind of whatever. You know, this is not a car that I'm going to go and try and be competitive at motorsports with, so I don't care. But yeah, so I think I have more learning to do as far as how to get the most out of the car for different situations, and that's just going to require seat time. So it's with some irony that the next thing you're going to see me do is probably park this car in the garage for a couple of weeks while I get the NSX ready for NS Expo in middle of next month. Right, well, I'm rambling at this point, so I'm going to call it a video there. Thanks for watching. It was fun for me to be out of the garage for the first time in a while. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed coming along. If you were, don't forget to subscribe down below, because we're going to be doing more of this whole driving business going forward. So yeah. Until then, I'm Richard, this is Lap of the World, and I will see you guys in the next video, if not at the track.